Hey, what's up? Welcome to Film Sprint Focus. Air horns. Oh no, the names are wrong. I'm not Deming. That is. I'll get that fixed real quick by taking it away. Hi everyone. I'm Jeremy. That's Deming.
Now
We
people are gonna
are.
follow the wrong Instagram.
God,
This
people
is
are going
like
to be so confused by our respective feeds. But at any rate, we're here. It's Film Sprint Focus. We're going to be getting into the romantic comedy genre because we got Sprint actually coming up. Very excited. This is
the
going to be a
what?
fun. Yeah, that's right. Our romantic comedy mega sprint with $1,000 in prizes up for grabs. Very
How did
excited
you guys
about
score
that.
that?
It's going to be great. Well, before we get into it, Deming, let's talk a little about our relationship with the genre, with
Mm.
romantic
Mhm.
comedies.
Do
For
you
both
have
of
a
us,
favorite romantic comedy?
um, I mean, I really enjoyed, when we watched The Wedding Singer, I loved that. When we watched Groundhog Day, I loved that. I think a lot of, I mean, everybody says Princess Bride. It's kind of sort of overplayed to say that. But I would say, like, in terms of favorite romantic comedies, for me, it's like, it's about your 10 things I hate about yous, you know? Like, that's kind of a pinnacle 90s movie in general. And also a classic romantic. What about you? You got a favorite romantic comedy?
Oh boy, no.
The
So wait,
Conjuring.
The Conjuring. I don't know. I don't hate them.
Sure.
I think that I like more of an emphasis on like the second act. It's for me. It's like emotion porn that I'm seeking. I need a good climax once in a while, right?
Absolutely.
And
Totally
same
understand that.
reason that like I have a favorite season of Grey's Anatomy, for example. Not so much calm, but plenty of rom. And it sounds like you're kind of the opposite. You prefer more calm to rom, which I respect.
I like a good mix of calm and rom, I would say. I don't you don't want too much calm, you don't want not enough rom. I'm glad that we're talking about this part while we're in kind of pixely mode. But yeah, basically, I'm a big fan. Tina says Twilight. Not much calm in that rom. Um, I'll tell you this. There was this really interesting, this kind of quirky rom com that my mom was obsessed with in like the mid 2000s called Return to Me, and it was David Duchovny
I've seen that.
and I think Taya Leone. Does that sound right? And it
I think
was
so.
or Minnie Driver. It was Minnie Driver, and the
Yeah,
premise of
like
it was
orange hair. Yeah.
yes, the premise of it was David Duchovny lost his first wife, and then her heart became a donor heart
Yep.
that Minnie Driver got, and there was all kinds of fun. That was like the impetus behind kind of what made the relationship special, but there was a lot of quirky bits about that.
Like that were heart related. I think
Yeah, a
okay,
lot of heart bits.
I don't I see it's funny. I don't know. I love Richard Linklater movies. Like I love like the Before trilogy. I think those might be my actual favorite movies, which is
Uh
like
huh.
not on brand, but is a fact. So if that
Right.
counts, then those are my favorites. But I think those are just ROMs, no com.
Roms no coms. What do you think about okay, like I mean, okay, like this comes up later, but like, would you consider Scott Pilgrim versus the World to be a romantic comedy?
Yeah.
I'd say it is, right? I mean, it's got the rom, it's got the com.
But you know what? Okay,
Put
you know
those
what I'm
pieces together. What do you get?
what I'm noticing though is that you so 10 things I hate about you very similarly is really much more so about finding yourself and being authentic to your true inner voice and like by happenstance
Yes.
the calm part works out, but it's sort of like a
Mm-hmm.
rom-com build up and then a split from that. It's like just kidding, we're not a rom-com, we're about believing in yourself. Like the romance still happens just in a rom-com, but it's about getting a life or
Well,
reading a poem.
absolutely. Well, we're gonna get into it. Let's take a look here at the presentation on the Film Sprint Focus romantic comedy tip. Um, Basically, yeah, we'll go through these various categories. We're gonna talk about the structure. That's kind of the big, the big focus here. We'll go into some of the tropes. This is just gonna be a little smattering of tropes that you may enjoy or find. We'll be happy to talk about any that come up in the chat. So please keep this chat lively as well. We're happy to have y'all here. And of course we'll make a big pitch at the end. But it seems like everybody here right now is already excited about Sprint actually. So I'm stoked to have everybody here. This is going to be a ton of fun. 13 going on 30 gets a shout out here in the chat, and is in fact definitely some source material that was referenced. Before we get too deep, I want to do a little verbal bibliography and thank Billy Marinette for his book Writing the Romantic Comedy, and Lindsay McCauley for her article Anatomy of a Romantic Comedy, as they were source material that helped in the creation of this particular little project. So, without any further ado, don't forget, guys, Sprint actually starts this weekend. It's starting on Thursday. It's going to be really exciting. Okay, and it's our romantic comedy round. We're talking a lot about the structure. We're going to be using a lot of this sort of framing that we're about to describe as part of our analysis and you know, kind of how we determine winners for some awards in this round as well. So paying attention to this will probably be pretty helpful to you down the line. All right, let's talk about the structure here. Here it is. Here's the romantic comedy structure. As you can see here, it's basically generally split into these three acts, which can be described as meet, lose, and get. That's basically what happens in the course of a romantic comedy. You meet each other, you lose each other, you get together in the end. These are the basic. That's essentially the three-act structure. These beats. These story beats that happen throughout that we'll go into in detail, they can be kind of the ones that are closer to these like little shady areas. These, I'm pointing at the screen like you can see it. The ones that are closer to these shady areas, they can kind of shift along, as they're not like hard and fast act breaks where if you land on this, it's definitely what it is. But that's generally how we're gonna lay it out. So with that. There's math involved. That's right. All right, here we go. Let's get started with... Oh my god, by backing away. No, I didn't want to do that. Oh boy, I'm still learning how this presentation software works. It starts when something's missing. We meet our love interests. We identify an unfulfilled desire. In 13 going on 30, for example, the unfulfilled desire is Jennifer Garner, well, the girl who becomes Jennifer Garner's character's desire to like fit in and be accepted, and then shortly after that to become an adult. We see these sort of like just characters have to need something in order for them to even want to leave the house. So as far as the structure of a romantic comedy,
do you ever feel like though that there's like simultaneously like a conscious need and then like an actual need that gets revealed?
Yes.
And that's the
yes,
real
exactly.
magic?
So like a character may seem outwardly happy, right? Like Billy Crystal's character in When Harry Met Sally at the beginning. He's doing fine. There's no obvious problems, but there's still something missing. Like an unfulfilled desire can just be manifest in something missing. So, you know, more so than necessarily like a character just sitting around moping, although that can also be a thing. I think the goal is that it's communicated to us as audience members, but it's really up to the individual artists and writers, filmmakers, and so forth, as far as what level of text that's going to happen on. But we need to just sense that there's a missing piece. That's a key part to the inciting action of romantic comedy. Let's see here if I can get back in here. The next, yes.
What's missing is that they don't actually see what's really missing. Like in
exactly. Right. A lot of the time, what's missing is perspective.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, the dollhouse.
There you go. Next, we get a meet cute. This is the first classic romantic comedy beat that everybody understands. This is a key part of a romantic comedy. The meet cute. The love interests meet. Their personalities, there's a little friction. They clash. It's not an exact like, wow, we met and we instantly fell in love and there was no more questions or problems ever. That is the opposite of what we're trying to get here. You want to meet cute, so there's quirkiness, there's a reason to kind of be intrigued, but there's also a like, well, I could never, wow, woof. You know,
I watch that's the romantic comedy subgenre of porn.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. I mean, here's some classic examples here, of course. You know, you definitely want to make sure that the characters have a complex first impression where there's something to like and a reason to be like, I gotta see you another time. Goodbye. Yeah, to go back to 13 and going on 30, which I hadn't seen until this year, but is kind of a perfect romantic comedy. It's when Ruffalo's like, well, glad to walk you back to your apartment, and now I gotta get out of here.
Can we say that I think Mark Ruffalo is similarly perfect.
We could say that. We could say that Mark Ruffalo is a perfect actor, a perfect human in a perfect romantic comedy. We could talk about that.
Hates fracking. The only thing that's missing is me. Mark.
The next part is when I'm calling this happy not together. Great example from Chad in the chat. We see our leads like enjoying their time together. They take time to share space and just be hanging out. And we might see them actually being romantic, or we might just see them kind of enjoying each other's company, and we as the audience want more for them. So like you'll often see as far as technical elements in this section, you'll see a lot of romantic music. You'll see montages. Obviously, I put down the old 500 Days of Summer montage, which might be one of the greatest humorous montages in a film.
It's so good, and I hate
so
that
good.
piece so much.
I know you do, and I don't particularly like it either. But this montage
it's fucking great.
It's really outstanding. So take a look at that. Follow up on that one. It's pretty excellent. But yeah, basically, this is the section where you start to see potential. It's not just the moment of like a spark, but kind of there's something here.
What?
It helps us to
chocolate. Oh my god, stop! My mom likes chocolate.
Exactly. So this is the scene where they're like at a chocolate store. So that's basically what's that. The next thing that happens, first big problem. We see life kind of coming back in around the edges.
Never happened to me.
For our main characters, yeah, they may have conflicting goals. It might be like You've Got Mail is a good example of that, because there's just inherent. Yeah. There might be like meddling outsiders is a good example of this as well, where there's just an outside force that doesn't want them to be together. They may already have significant others. That's not uncommon. Or they can have like differing backgrounds, cultural clashes, things of that nature.
Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Oh, it's tough to see what this background is. But what is it? What are we looking at?
Just Jewish people. I didn't want you to feel left out this season.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's this first big problem that this is what flavors the conflict. Obviously, these romantic comedies kind of need a conflict, and once we discover what it is, it's important to stay focused on it and not try to keep inventing a bunch of new conflicts. It's a lot easier and more economical as a writing process if it's different things that branch off of this one main problem between the characters.
What if there was a rom-com called Moto Rwanda?
That'd be an interesting. That's your pitch?
What would their challenge be?
I mean, I would classify that as conflicting goals and differing backgrounds.
See?
You too? All right. The next thing that happens is the characters get some distance. They start to face their problems, but things are a little different. They're not split up or anything, but they're just trying to go about their lives now that they've seen what it's like with this new person in their life.
They did anal and it didn't go great.
Say that again. You were cutting out.
They did anal, but it didn't go great.
Okay. I'm glad I had you repeat that. We see how the feelings between the main characters have changed, the characters and also their relationships with one another. Basically, we don't have. It's the middle part of the story. Rocky Horror Picture Show is not a romantic comedy.
It hits all the dinged notes.
I think by the time this is done, you will find that is a fallacious argument. But yeah, basically, we start to see the characters are dealing with the initial problems. They're starting to move towards maybe even their unfulfilled desires in the beginning, but it's sort of an imperfect step. It's like a step forward that will necessitate a later step back because it's not correct. They're not doing it with the person that we want them to be doing it with. So that's the issue.
Are you positing that what they needed was in fact in front of them all along?
Look, I don't want to spoil anything. We'll get there when we get there. The next section of the structure we get new problems that are not that they didn't bring in with them. They're problems that specifically come from the existing relationship. So, I mean, a great example of that is obviously this little screenshot here at the bottom, which is when Harry met Sally. Once the characters actually sleep together, the first example of a problem between them is actually when they kiss at the party, and then it's like weird. It's weird between them. They have this moment where they're like, "Oh, we kissed each other." A lot of thoughts about this, and then they go on. They try to just like go back to just like we're cool friends and we're big parts of each other's lives, and then she shows up. She's all miserable. They sleep together. The next morning, that's what Billy Crystal's face looks like because a mistake was made. It increases the conflict between them. Well, they shouldn't have slept together. There wasn't time apparently. But basically, they do something that it increases the friction between them. This happening in this context for them while she was all emotionally vulnerable and he was not prepared to be romantic. It leads them to this next stage, which we'll talk about now, which is it's over / life is awful. Basically, this is the section where all hope is dashed. This is a very important part of a romantic comedy, and the more hopeless, the better in these moments. Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan stop talking to each other. They just drift apart. They're not even really friends anymore. They just leave each other's lives. That's just what it is.
But
it's sad.
What does Princess Leia do?
Princess Leia gets sucked out into space, stays alive, returns to the ship.
No, she's in that movie.
Oh, in that movie? I couldn't tell you. So, but we
plays the Judy Greer.
I know, of course. You got to have a Judy Greer. So
I'm
basically,
Judy Greer in my own life.
Be your own Judy Greer is definitely an unofficial motto of the film sprint. Basically, at this point, the characters are just they have to decide, do they want to stay in the relationship or go? Almost inevitably at this point they choose go. They're like, I can't stay with you, this is so bad. And then they break up, and then they're more miserable. And then Natalie Portman is crying and eating donut holes and singing Keep Bleeding and driving, or whatever's happening.
You imagine eating? Gross.
Eating? I imagine it quite often. Basically, what happens is the characters make their choices. They live the life they think they have to live, and then they're miserable apart. It's Drew Barrymore throwing the music papers up in Adam Sandler's face. It's it's the sort of frustration between Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan about their business problems. These things and that just drive them apart. And dial-up, of course. And somebody was on the phone in the apartment, and so they couldn't talk to each other anymore. Whatever the issue is. Yeah. Huh. Exactly. Then comes the good part. This is the exciting ending of the romantic comedy structure that we love to see. The next part is the epiphany. The moment where they realize, oh my God, I'm in love. I've been in love this whole time. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to go be in love. This is such a great day. What happens is, they experience a moment of clarity. Often it's like, it comes from a conversation with another character, like Silent Bob telling Dante that you don't always get a girl who like brings you lunch at work, or whatever the thing might be. The thing that leads to this next, and this is another technical section, which is there's a lot of editing techniques typify the end game of a romantic comedy. First, you'll see a lot of like quick cuts that are designed to increase the tension. Like, is he gonna make it to the airport? Is she gonna get there in time? Those kinds of things. And also there will be a parallel cutting where we'll see like this person maybe they're about to make their bad choice, maybe they're in the middle of it. Those cuts back and forth, parallel editing to just kind of build suspense. And I got a little Lisa Simpson quote there for you at the bottom as well.
I feel I like this thing because it's truly like they need some sort of external. Basically, they just need a different character to say the exact fucking thing. Yeah. That like.
Don't you know you're an idiot and you love this person and you better get over there as quick as possible?
my favorite
Hmm.
subgenre of rom-com epiphanies is the thing where it's like, oh, I did the quirky thing that I made fun of them for. Do you know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Where they're like, "Oh my god, it's their bit." Like they do the little bit from the relationship where they're, yeah, that's a great example of that. Like, oh, I'm making
Love that.
chicken salad just like he always used to.
Oh, and it was so annoying when they did it, and I
But
want to
now
be
that I have
annoyed
it
by
for me,
them
I realize
forever.
how, yeah, they might be sitting with their crummy other partner, and then the partner says something to make fun of something that the actual romantic interest is into, and then
Yeah,
our hero repeats the romantic interest perspective, and then they're like, "I gotta get out of here," and then they like run out the door.
and then they're at
Yeah,
the dating airport for one
and
reason or
they're
another.
at the airport, they're at the train station, they're at the
Anywhere you
teleporter
could
bank,
commit a
wherever they are,
terrorist act.
pretty much. Except for ball games, you don't see a lot of a lot of romantic comedy epiphany like sections at ball games,
That's not true.
unless you count Fever Pitch. Um,
Would you not
I didn't say that I did or didn't. That's
But
irrelevant.
also, there's a movie that I've been thinking of called The Setup with Taye Diggs and Lucy Liu and two youths.
Two
And
youths.
and there's a whole bunch of baseball park stuff, and that's the one that I've been trying to remember the name of this whole time.
Okay, well there you go. Um, yeah. Anyway, the epiphany is the moment where we all get to feel like love is real and it's gonna work out and like go to her, all those things.
But
Um,
what if there's another step?
there's one last step, but it's a pretty easy step.
No!
Resolution. It's the happy endings. The characters fulfill their
Baby.
unfulfilled desires from the beginning. They find happiness. They get married or have a baby or decide to raise the
Whatever
baby that they already
period,
have and
whatever.
decide to raise together. Everybody's got the job they always wanted. It turns out that love literally cures all and everything works out just because you found your person. That's a key part of the romantic comedy genre. It's not just like, and then I got my partner, but the rest of my life still sucked. Like it's kind of important that the pursuit of this romantic relationship also be shown to improve their whole life. Like it's not just like, wow, I found you and now I figured out relationships. It's like I found you and helping figure out relationships help me figure out me.
I think that like that is definitely a traditional trope, but I don't see
Yeah,
that as somebody that's watched
it's not a requirement, but it's a
Netflix
hugely
original.
like traditionally important part of the genre.
I will okay, what I will say is that this is certainly a hugely acknowledged, like it has to be acknowledged. Like does your partner fix your life or not? And
Yeah.
it's a triumph. Like the way that the film is framed is such that whatever the choice is a triumph. It's a triumph that they chose to be themselves. The triumph, like I think a
Yes.
lot of what happens in super modern rom-coms is that like, okay, we got together, and then they have a beat of acknowledging that their life still sucks. Like, wait, you still quit your job? And they're like, yeah, I fucking hated that job. I'm gonna work at a Burger King or
Right.
whatever. That's actually part of it, and in a way, it's acknowledging and reinforcing what we all just learned here.
Right. I mean, that still kind of fits within the trope because, sometimes the right job for you isn't like the fancy pants money job. It's the job that lets you live the life you want.
But
Ultimately, yeah.
or
Ultimately,
just like I think a lot of like the rom com today though, are like they leave it a little bit open ended on the life part, and are just like, yeah, okay, let's just keep
right. They
figuring it
don't give
out.
you like the full picture of their whole life working out. But what I'm getting at is more the change in the character that enables the romance to be successful is the same change that facilitates them meeting their unfulfilled desires that
Yeah,
are listed at the beginning of the film. So whatever is wrong in their life is partially cured by addressing what's wrong in their relationship life
but
and
therein,
or
I think
finding
as
this
well,
person or missing piece of themselves. You
but
complete me.
connecting with that partner, I think like, and I think much more trending in like modern isn't so much like, yeah, okay, we've acknowledged that this is also letting this thing happen, but it's I think a lot more often realizing what the real thing you needed was, and that it's not a partner, and that it's like, oh fuck, like I didn't need to get promoted, I needed to quit, or like
Right.
what have
It's still, I mean, it's still like oftentimes the unfulfilled desire isn't like an explicit objective. It's just a state of being that is at unease, and
yeah,
so
but
finding the
I'm just
resolution
noting
to it can take many forms.
there's I think typically, and something I hadn't thought about until your presentation was that there's simultaneously like a thing they think they need, and then the thing that they really
The
need.
thing that they really need, exactly. The thing that they think they need to pursue is what leads them into those like into this like lull here around more problems and it's over. They're like, ah, I'm trapped. I can't be with you. I can't have the thing I want because whatever. And or because there's like a horrible misunderstanding that's like, oh, you like her, huh? Throw
Oh,
ring,
I
leave
hate
room.
those. Those are
Yeah,
my
those are the
least
worst.
favorite.
So anyway, we get to a resolution here. These are some great examples of resolutions. My favorite, 10 Things I Hate About You. He just buys her a guitar. It's not like they don't spend their lives together, you know? He just gets her this thing she's always wanted by way of demonstrating that she cares about, or that he cares about her. It's an interesting, obviously there's the classic sort of like emerald ring scene in Crazy Rich Asians. I got these two scenes at the bottom left both happen on airplanes. On airplanes. Not near an airplane, not in the airport, like on the plane. Like the guy got through security onto the plane, is there to do stuff. And of course, in Three Guys Named Mike, which we watched here on the channel a few weeks ago, the our romantic lead, she just drags a guy onto the plane who didn't even have a ticket, and then just goes, "It's all good. I'm a flight attendant." Slam door, and everybody's like, and the movie ends,
That's
which
part
is
of
an
the
important
plot
part of the
of money.
resolution. That's right. That's an important part of the resolution, is that the film ends almost immediately after the resolution. There are not big, long epilogues in a romantic comedy. It's like, we get there, we're happy, good night, end of movie. That's about it. That's the pace we want to see.
Shakespeare style.
Exactly.
There's no 13th night, y'all.
No, it's like the great thing, the fade to black, the peppy music, the credits. Like, that's what we're looking for.
Oh my god, that's my favorite genre of music. It's like
Peppy
it's a
credits
combination
music?
of like, yeah, like end credits music, which is like
Yeah.
the rockin' version of the song that had a ballad version in Act 2. Or
I'm
the song
surprised that you never been told before. Exactly.
whatever that was.
That was from 10 Things I Hate About You.
Oh,
Obviously.
Obvious. I was playing dumb because of my look. And then like wait, and then montage music. Basically like the
Montage
whole
music.
genre
Yeah.
of spin class music is also the genre of rom-com music.
That's a great read right there. If you do it at spin class, like even the really high energy stuff, like I could see was it Hero? That's a great running to the airport.
What are they holding out for? You're holding out for, I don't know, an exercise.
A cardio.
All right. Earn your calories here. I bought a Peloton.
Exactly.
You know a lot.
Congratulations. Is part of it telling everyone?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait,
anyway, this is the basic shape of romantic comedy structure. This is how you basically want to see it. The parallels here, you kind of want these emotional highs to basically be shaped like this, where you get close to it being right at the end of the first act. We want to sort of feel like, oh, this could almost be the answer, before we just get sadder and sadder and sadder. It gets worse and worse and worse. And then love heals everything, and we're so happy, and never mind about all that sad stuff. We're having a great time. We married our sweetie. It's never going to go wrong. And the credits rolled before we could think about any part of it. Goodbye! Like, that's the structure.
That, like, all that we've demonstrated is a significant lack of communication skills.
Yeah, the most common source of like struggle in a romantic comedy is just kind of like poor boundaries and imperfect communication.
Like things that like are not conducive to the actual like sustenance of a relationship.
Or here's the other thing. The other thing that happens a lot in romantic comedies, it's true incompatibility. It's the source of the problem. And then at the end they like go, maybe we just fixed it. And then you end up with a romantic comedy that like idealizes a crummy relationship.
Have you seen The Notebook? Because that's what that's about.
The Notebook is a great example of that. Because that relationship is awful.
She could have been with an X-Men.
I feel like if at any point someone is towering over you, screaming at you, "What do you want?" It's probably time to cut bait.
Oh yeah, and I'm sorry, you haven't fucking talked since the time you lost your virginity, but he bought a house because of a thing you said when you were drunk. But you're gonna ditch stable ass Cyclops of the X-Men who
That's
lets you
right.
go on a weekend antiquing trip, doesn't ask no questions. Y'all
That's
are about
right.
to get married. He's
Yep.
lovely. And
Mhm.
what? So one of you can die first in the same bed while the other one has to hold a corpse's hand? Because that's how the notebook ends.
I've not heard this rant of yours on the Notebook, but you're not wrong on any point. That's romantic comedy structure, everybody. We got let's move on to our next section here, and talk about this is just a smattering, a selection. This is not to say that what we're about to get into are the biggest or most example of these particular things. They are just some examples of some tropes that take place in the form of the romantic comedy. I'm gonna take a look. Yeah, so would you do me a favor and read these out loud while I get one thing figured out real quick, Demon? Can you do that for me?
Yeah. So, gonna go over some tropes, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Manic Pixie Dream Girl. You might have heard of this as MPDG, or it's sometimes pronounced Zoe Deschanel.
That's another way
Dance
to pronounce it.
sequence, dance sequence, aka my favorite part. I love a dance sequence that has no business being in a non-dance movie. Gendered jobs. As somebody that's exhausted from her job at the High Heel magazine, I feel this one.
Yeah, we'll get
Vacation
into it. Mm-hmm.
that are poorly explained in terms of backstory. Like, how the fuck did they afford that? Forgetting Sarah Marshall's a good example. Like, hey, we'll just give you the sweeter fucking whatever because you're tall.
Yeah.
Evil exes. Honestly, like this one. It's just some sort of sentient goatee pops up to be like, oh, I'm sorry, am I still rich?
Mm-hmm.
It was all a bet.
Yeah,
Because
that happens
Lord
to a time.
knows, I think, okay, growing up watching like teen films, rom-coms, I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I expected to be making a lot more bets in my adult life than I actually
Yeah,
have.
and
I
also
made
there's
none.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff I thought was going to be big obstacles when we were kids that didn't turn out to be that big of an obstacle.
And you're talking about quicksand.
Well, quicksand's one example. I thought I'd see a lot more aggro crags than I turned out to see.
There's that. Dramatic apology gesture.
Yeah.
Despite the fact that several people have been rude to me this year and I've not gotten one flash mob, apparently this is still a trope.
Tragic.
Easy makeovers. Do you remember earlier, you guys, when I had on glasses?
Wow.
And this pets galore. So I
Mm-hmm.
can't really relate to this.
Yeah, that's not.
It's people that look exactly like me making out with people who look exactly like I don't know,
Mark
Hollywood
Ruffalo. Oh.
Ooh, go on. Can we skip to that
All right.
part?
Well, we won't.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through these instead in order. Let's start with Manic Pixie Dream Girls. Hey, check it out. This is some stuff about Manic Pixie. I've got a whole new girl quote there at the bottom, with a random T afterwards. That's nice.
Okay. That's in the episode where Nick's girlfriend is her lawyer in court, and he doesn't like her. It's what's her face, that chick that was in the Mean Girls, but then she was later in that thing about sex.
All right, we'll get back to that. But yes, Manic Pixie Dream Girls. Basically, a Manic Pixie Dream Girl is any like character who's like super big and weird and quirky, and it's like their whole character purpose to like just be a dichotomy from like a stuffed shirt dude. Like
every single time I've dated a Republican, both times they just think I'm so whimsical because like I crossed the street without waiting for the light. And
right.
Like,
sometimes it's the narrative. Yeah, sometimes it's the narrative itself that portrays the character in this way. Sometimes it is the like corresponding love interest. I mean, Manic Pixie Dream Girls tend to exist in hetero relationships, so it's usually this dude who's like, wow, you're so special, you're so, amazing, how you give my whole life meaning. And then sometimes the character in more modern versions of this portrayal, that Manic Pixie Dream Girl character is like, hey, screw you, like this is not my function in your life.
Ruby Sparks, that's a deconstruction of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl,
Sure.
starring real life couple Paul Dano and what's her face.
I think Yes Man's a fun one too, in this genre, where Jim Carrey and the aforementioned Ms. Deschanel.
Wait, can I bring up the fact that the film Elf stars Will Ferrell as the manic pixie dream girl,
Great
opposite
example.
Zoe Deschanel as the straight man.
That's the straight man. Pretty fun. Anyway, that's a manic pixie dream girl. Dance sequences. Any like romantic comedy where there's a dance scene and everybody knows the moves. Some examples of that: She's All That, 13 Going on 30, which is kind of cheating because it's Thriller, and so it's like reasonable that everybody would know it. Yeah, Love, Simon. There's a great sort of like dreamy dance sequence that's similar to 500 Days of Summer, and then there's one in Friends with Benefits as well. That's the flash mob apology, which we'll get to apologies a little more later. Gender, jobs. These are some typical jobs that that male characters and female characters will have in romantic comedies. You'll see a lot of male architects. There's a ton of architects. What is it with Demi? Do you have any input on why there are so many architects in male architects in romantic comedies?
Yes, because it's the sports equivalent of math. So it's like he's not a sports person,
But he makes big,
but he's
strong
not like
structures.
a nerd.
Right.
Yeah, he's got beefy forearms because he
Got
does.
beefy forearms, and he just designed a new hospital.
Yeah.
CEOs, just inexplicably rich. That's another category. Being a writer or just being an owner, like a small business owner, or maybe they own like the Eagles or something like that. Female characters, they get some great jobs.
Female characters be owners, but it's owners of one of these things.
You're an owner of one of these things. Most likely a cupcake store, cosmetics / fashion, baker, wedding industry, writer, but only at a fashion magazine, or straight up prostitute. These are by far the most common female romantic comedy jobs. So that's a classic trope.
No, then I would say neo rom-coms, they're usually gig workers who are like, oh man, now they think I'm rich just because I'm an Airbnb pillow fluffer.
It's nice work if you can get it. Vacations, characters on vacations that are way outside their means, that go on forever. Like, oh, I do the sound for a crime show, like in Forgetting Sarah Marshall. I play the music for a crime show, but also I can afford like a 3-week Hawaiian vacation. Like, it's not quite like on the spur of the moment, like I'm gonna go right now. And then you go out there, you meet your bestest of loves, you fall in love there. Then a lot of the time that downturn comes when you have to leave the vacation, and then the upswing comes when they show up where you live. What? Why are you in Milwaukee all of a sudden? You work at the resort.
Employee at the hotel I had been staying at to get over a breakup showed up in my hometown. Are you fucking kidding me?
That's very jarring. Why are you here?
Terrifying.
Yeah. Holiday and The Proposal are two other great examples. The Holiday's a fun one. I feel like every person in that movie is great. Except Cameron Diaz. I don't know what was going on with her in this movie. I enjoy her in other movies. I'm not trying to just be like she's terrible in general, but...
Oh, sorry, I spaced out, but you're talking about The Holiday.
I'm talking about The Holiday, yes. Cameron Diaz, I feel like the whole movie is her just like mugging. I don't think she ever... It's so frustrating to watch her.
Exactly one good movie, and then also some Cameron Diaz anecdotes.
Yes, but like if it was a whole movie about like Eli Wallach's writing character and like all, I'd love that movie.
Kate Winslet, Jack Black, that whole fucking thing.
This is a big hot take in the chat that Forgetting Sarah Marshall should have had Mila Kunis as Sarah Marshall and Kristen Bell as the love interest. I don't know that I agree. I think it's...
You know what? I do think that Mila Kunis is more obvious hot.
But it's not just about being obvious hot. It's like, I think that Kristen Bell is more like effortlessly dismissive and shitty, which is important for the X character. Like, it's also easier to buy her with Russell Brand than it is to buy Mila Kunis with Russell Brand. In my humble opinion. The fact that
Mila Kunis was with Macaulay Culkin in the filming of the film, like during the filming of the film.
That's exactly right.
Awesome. I just feel like Mila Kunis' character, let's say on that 70s show, the way that she's introduced to the world was much more uppity.
I submit to you that Dax Shepard is closer to Russell Brand than Macaulay Culkin.
Yes. However, how were we introduced to Kristen Bell? Veronica Ding Mars. So I
Yes,
will
that's
say that
true.
their original characters, respectively, do
I hear
support.
what you're saying, but like if we look at the body of work now, it's like, what's Kristen Bell's best work now? Probably The Good Place, where she plays a person who's a self-described Arizona trash bag.
Yeah, what
So
the
like,
fuck's Mila Kunis's best work? Oh, that's right, she's a washed-up actress, just like Kristen
whoa,
Bell's character in fucking
wow,
Monster.
whoa! Wasn't she in a movie called like Hot Moms or Bad Moms or some kind of
I
Moms?
don't fucking think so. I haven't been in a hotel recently.
That's unfortunate. But yeah, here's some examples of vacation movies. All right, moving on. Evil exes, spurned exes becoming terrible villains. Classic trope. I mean, we were just talking about Forgetting Sarah Marshall as a kind of example of that. I wouldn't go so far as to say that Sarah Marshall's an evil character in that movie, but she's certainly not good. I mean, like, you know.
Oh, the infidelity.
Yeah, the infidelity's a somewhat evil trait, I suppose. Like she did have a like a year-long affair with Russell Brand's character. That's not ideal. It's not what you're looking for in a partner, I suspect. But yeah, here we go. I mean, I mean, Scott Pilgrim, I would stand as a romantic comedy. Eminently rewatchable.
Manic Pixie Dream Girl romantic comedy,
Yes,
for sure.
and a subversion of the Manic Pixie Dream Girl thing, because she's not like a quirk monster who makes his life better. She's everything that's quirky about her. Whenever he brings it up, she's like, eye roll. Like, she's never like happy to be seen that way. She's like, shut up, like at all times. But it's a great, yeah. If you haven't seen Scott Pilgrim, just check it out. Nobody wants a Russell Brand. I dispute that. It was all a bet. Too good to be true, guy. Turns out that it was just a classic betcha I can bang that girl situation. You know, not the most common trope, but like so outstandingly weird that it does need to be called out as a trope. I don't know why Elizabeth Banks is being brought up, but I do love Zack and Mary Make a Porno. That's a great romantic comedy. That's
Oh my God,
like
every single guy I friend zoned in college watched that. Like made me watch that, and I was like,
made you watch it.
"Have you seen this? It's
I
so
can't
funny."
imagine making anybody watch it. Like, it is funny, and it's definitely like if somebody wants to watch it, they'll probably have a good time watching it. It's definitely there's a lot to unpack in that action. We don't need to get into it, but that is not a movie with sex bets that I remember. Although it is a profoundly fun raunchy
But
movie.
it is about profiting off of a bad sex choice, which is basically a sex bet.
In a sense, sure. Dramatic apologies. Hey, I messed up, so let me do a big musical number about it.
You must have the presentation, and you were gonna do a music number.
No, sorry. Well, maybe later. But yeah, obviously, I mean, you know, here's two big, great examples. I feel like,
Wait,
you
I
know,
forgot
that.
my background for this part.
Oh yes, I'm sorry. That's right. You had. Oh no, that yeah, the dance sequence and dramatic apology background. Thank you for keeping up on it. Yeah, I mean, Heath Ledger in 10 Things I Hate About You, pretty spectacular. As far as like, it's
The best
transcendent. It's probably it's in many ways it's the most joyful moment in this film by a huge, you know, margin. But you know, it's like, especially to compare these two as far as like actions go. This other dude's just like high grade stalking, but then
being
you know, but
manipulative.
to pay off the whole band at your, you know, bougie million-acre high school,
To
um,
embarrass yourself.
yeah, and steal a thing and get in trouble and get into detention and all that. Pretty delightful for this. Also, again, just take a look at Heath Ledger here. He is supposed to be playing at most an 18-year-old in this movie.
I think that's another thing I expected was for people.
Oh, as far as tropes, it's just, I mean, that's a trope for any
I
teen.
look
So.
younger than he does there, and I am
Yeah.
31.
Pretty much, yeah. Dramatic apologies. Easy makeovers. Yeah, here's some great movies with makeovers in them that are presented as having been so easy it just took about 5 minutes of direct attention. Oh God! Oh, Deming, what's wrong with you? Oh, disgusting! Oh, even worse! Ugh! You're gonna get us kicked off for showing something so gross. Terrible.
Does anyone know where painting class is? My dad died.
she's all that classic makeover. Princess Diaries also, where it's just like, now that's a princess, because they straightened her hair and took her glasses off. In Clueless, the makeover is slightly more elaborate and involves like convincing a girl with a completely flat stomach to show her midriff. And then there's Pretty Woman. That's not quite as simplistic a makeover. Yeah.
Huge. Because you know what that one was really about? And you know what a lot of these are really about? It's not about making over for yourself or even your heart. Mm-hmm. It's about making over that wallet, because a lot of these are really just economic porn.
Yes.
Not romantic porn. More than anything.
Yeah, you know what? Like, it's not a coincidence that so often, like, the big romantic denouement involves like becoming rich. Or like your entrepreneurship finally pays off. Or whatever. Pretty spectacular. All right, and then our last classic romantic comedy trope is cis heteronormativity. That's a big word. That's a big crossword puzzle word. Just worth observing that the vast majority of romantic comedies are mostly just about like a boy and a girl falling in love because that's the only way they can figure it out. But there's all kinds of other cool romantic comedies that feature any number of styles of relationship and ways to love another person.
What's interesting to me, again, like, I guess because my role for some reason has unofficially been like the voice of like neo rom-coms, but like, so Love, Simon I would consider a neo rom-com in the sense that its whole goal, and similarly the goal of the romantic, not such a comedy, the new Kristen Stewart one, Happiest Season, those are both intended to basically be the most cliche to basically, they all saw Jeremy's dang lecture, they took the notes, they did not deviate, except for it's just with, non-heterosexual people. And that's the whole point of it, is to be like, hey, guess what? We get mediocre rom-com shit too. No, it doesn't always have to be like some kissing Jessica Stein, but I'm a cheerleader nonsense. It can sometimes just be like, guess what? It's just some high school shit or some whatever shit.
I was going to suggest to you that another great example of a neo rom-com would be Always Be My Maybe.
Always Be My Maybe is so good. Didn't I tell you to watch that?
Yeah, but it's also a neo rom-com because Keanu Reeves is in it.
And also because but also because the end of it is him being like, fuck it, like, I'm like a slacker, can I just like follow you around while you're successful and hold your purse for you at events? And it's
cool. Ooh, big shout outs to a film in the chat here if you're watching. Enjoy that. These are some examples of those types of films. All these films here, under recent exceptions, all were made in the last 20 years. Probably mostly within the last 10. So check them out. They're pretty cool and worth watching as well. It's always interesting to find more and different and diverse approaches to these very basic love stories and tropes. Pretty cool. Those are some tropes. What are some other romantic comedy tropes? Things you see in a lot of romantic comedies. I mean, you got any thoughts?
I think that,
things you thought you'd see in this list?
The thing that you didn't cover is the thing that's most implied by my presence, and that is the sassy best friend.
Sassy best friends, yes. Like a best friend. Sassy / horny best friend. Like,
yeah, like, if you don't, I will, girl. And it's the way that, like, I'm also kind of like a white gay man.
Yeah, or it's like our couple are making like chaste eyes at each other across the bar, and then in the background this girl's like flirting with like 10 dudes. Like that kind of action, that's pretty common. It gives you, a lot of the time those like sassy characters are there to just kind of provide the contrast of, hey, here's how we feel like it should, like, this approach to romance should be idealized, and then here's this contrasting sinner character. Here's this character who's just kind of just a sloppy mess. That's pretty common.
I think that the other trope that I can think of off the top of my head is basically like there's an interesting like parallel, like inverse arc professionally, typically with the career arc. So typically the career stuff starts to all of a sudden go quite well at that point where everything's going very badly.
Mm-hmm. Or sometimes they kind of collapse on top of each other, and the solution for one like provides the solution for another. Like all of a sudden, not only Like either it's like, wow, oh god, I ruined my relationship last night, and I woke up this morning, and oh no, the big presentation is due. I gotta get down there, gulp. And then like you know, hop in a bus and you're buying, you know, poster boards or whatever the hell's going on. Lots of different ways to in that cat. I love that everybody said goodbye to Dina. Yeah, exactly. Definitely. I feel like it's always a trope, like if it like for a trustworthy dude to have a dog. Like that's a good way to show that a character is like it's like an older guy, maybe a little salt and pepper, but he's got like a dog that he can just have conversations with, and the dog gets it.
And the dogs hate the evil ex.
The dogs always hate the evil ex. Sometimes they'll like pee on the evil ex's stuff, or like chew their shoes or whatever. And that, but sometimes they'll just be like, "Hey, Barkley," and then the dog will be like, just like make a face, make a little reaction. Why Stranger? That's a great example. Like, you know, that's sort of in that same like magic like magic black lady trope. That's like, I got some wisdom and off to, you know, save the world and everything. Those kinds of bits and shenanigans. Those are pretty common. Oh yeah, a random taxi driver giving you some knowledge. That's a good way to go about it. Or like a kindly boss. Like, who am I thinking? Steve Martin in, was it Baby Mama? Is that what I'm thinking of? It's not really a romantic comedy per se, but like in the sense that it's also, you know, one thing we haven't talked about in this focus, but is worth also examining, is romantic comedies that are not about romantic love. Like, I Love You Man is a romantic comedy about a friendship. Like the main character has a functioning romantic relationship. Like Paul Rudd has a romantic relationship. He is incapable of making friends. That's the unfulfilled need, is like companionship and camaraderie. He doesn't have those things, and so interesting when the character kind of comes to that like that. Really gratifying.
I agree. Sorry, there's a weird buzzing in my room. I'm trying to figure out what it is.
Oh, now I can hear it too. That's weird. I don't think our home listeners can hear it because I've filtered out like low volume stuff, but it's just gonna bug you and me. That's cool. That was Film Sprint Focus, the romantic comedy. Thank you so much for hanging out and watching. Hope that you get something from this. And if you haven't already and you'd like to, don't forget, it's not too late. You can sign up for Sprint. Actually, you can make a film in 10 days. It's going to be a lot of fun.
You can make it on your phone. You can make it on a train. You can just make it in 10 days.
You can make it in less than 10 days if you would like. You can be done early. We'll allow it. You can start late. We'll allow it. But yeah, it's going to be a ton of fun. Like a dog in a
basketball game. There's nothing in the rules.
We do have a lot of rules, and none of them do cover. We actually do have rules about dogs in our competition. So that is one way that we're better than youth basketball. But that's going to be time. That'll be back for our Film Sprint Focus on like Disney style kids pet movies. Hey, hold on. Let me get my dog in here. Andy, come here. Andy, come over here. Coming. We'll let y'all go by letting everybody see our dogs. Thank you so much. Hey, come up here. Yeah, thanks for joining us for Film Sprint Focus. I'm Jeremy, and
I'm Demi, and this is Paul, and he's
that's Polly. This is Indy, and yeah, thanks for joining us. We'll be back around on Thursday when we kick off Sprint. Actually, we'll be back on this channel on Saturday. Not this Saturday, but the following Saturday for romantic comedy trivia. Hopefully a lot of this will come up. So if you focus and you're here, you might be able to win some money, some prizes, some stuff off the new merch store. Oh, should we take a quick look at the merch store, do you think?
Yes.
What do you think? I think we should. I think we will in just 2 or 3 seconds once I make that possible. Devin, what do you like about what we're talking about right now? Why don't you mention things while I make that happen?
Oh, man. So it's Tuesday. It's been rough. It snowed here yesterday.
Whoa.
I think I have seasonal depression.
Well, that's not fun.
I mean, it is if you're doing it right. And other things that sassy best friends say in rom-coms.
That's a sassy horny best friend line right there. Here is the Film Sprint store. It's pretty cool. You can get yourself a Big Deming Energy pouch for your makeup accessories and stuff. Or you can get that in a shirt or a mask or a cool hoodie or a nice bag or a phone case. That's new. Um, for all different kinds of phones of Samsung and iPhones and
Do
such.
you wish the mall could be your ringtone? This is the
Well,
closest thing to
the
it.
next best thing. You get a Film Sprint Save My 2020 shirt. These are pretty cool. I'm a fan of this. You can get it as a giant wall tapestry if you really feel. Did you not know this was a thing? Yeah, get yourself a nice 51 by, or how about an 88 by 104 inch wall tapestry. Only $55 on the Film Sprint merch store.
Hey, guys, what's your energy?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it
Oh,
good
you
or-
know what I'm all about though? Friendship acquired. That's what I'm all about.
Yeah, that's a good one.
F and A. Get this as a sticker, which you can put outside of your favorite drive-through establishment and confuse people because it's not a sticker advertising like a dispensary or a nightclub. You can get it as a cool mug, all kinds of options. Pretty cool stuff here. I'm a big fan of this one. This was one of my favorites actually. There's no trust. Look here, we got. This is from our Fright Sprint winner. These guys won $1,000 and the right to be turned into a shirt. So this is pretty cool. And if you take a look here at the towards the bottom of the kind of draw there, it says Ape Chow there at the bottom left of the circle at about, I would say, 7:30 p.m. clockwise. It says Ape Chow. That's an inside joke because I guess that's what they were. I just found this out today. That's what Ryan Hervey and the Wolfmen boys call food for the actors. Is Ape Chow. Yeah, the craft services. And then, this was a great one. For the Lonely. If you liked Allie Jones's seminal Best of Summer winner, For the Lonely, we kind of took this cool shirt, we made it into a little animated look, and it's shirts, it's masks, it's cool ass phone cases. It's pretty neat. Check that stuff out. That's what's up. And that's everything. I'll post a link here in the chat for y'all, but you can also just go to filmsprint.com and then click the shop button. It'll take you right there. So we appreciate y'all very much. Or down here, if you're watching on Twitch, there's actually a link here at the bottom of the Twitch channel, so you can look at it there. Isn't that neat? We appreciate y'all. Go get yourself an 80-inch banner. Support us. It's pretty spectacular. We love you. All the money that is spent in this merch store just goes back to making more cool events in the future. So, your support is delicious, and we appreciate you.
Sustains us. Jeremy's 80.
That's true. You can only tell if you look around my eyes. But yeah, it's true. I'm like 80. Thanks, y'all. We appreciate you. And we'll be back here on Thursday. So thanks again. If you haven't signed up yet, sign up. If you know somebody who might be interested, tell them to sign up for Sprint actually. Bye, Deming. I'll see everybody back here soon. And we love y'all. And I hear people are just trying to get their last messages out on the chat. And it's happening. Y'all are the best. We love to Deming. Especially apparently in the chat. Some love to me is fine. It's fine. Alright. Thanks for watching Film Sprint Focus. Good night. Bye-bye.